Operation Domination is underway. The ultimate game plan to dominate your NFL experience. With your hosts, Dan
And you gotta be confident about your Achilles when you
Chase
show up.
Thornton,
Yeah, I mean, I got him at
and Adam LaRue. Don't hope to be great and dominate.
Well, all right. Welcome back into Operation Domination. Don't hope to win, be great, and dominate. As always, I'm your host, Dan Mader. Make sure you download Operation Domination on your favorite podcast app and check out our video content when you go to the Fantasy Football Advice Network YouTube channel at FF Advice Net. It is time for our best bets in the Line Your Pockets Green, which is why we have the great Chaz Filardi of Sports Betting Weekly on the show. Chaz, how we doing tonight?
Well, last week I was great. The last 2 weeks before that, I was just good, But again, the bottom line is we've been doing this a long time, Dan. You really, that whole cornerback next mentality is really a sports betting thing. You have to have it.
Absolutely have to. And then on top of it, we're hitting lines right now, man. Like the player prop thing is going really, really well. Again, make sure you guys check out my article on the Huddle. It comes out every Saturday. I could do 15 player props just on there. I talk about some of them on here, and we got a 55% hit rate, and I want that to be closer to 60. But 55% is still winning at the end of the day. And Chaz, you've been on fire with your half plays and your first quarter.
Well, yeah, but let's make sure we're clear, because you see a lot of people out there. They say a 60% win rate, okay, but they're not giving out a lot of plus. You give out plus. So in other words, if everybody understands this, when you're winning 60%, but your teams are -1, your bets are -140, and I'm winning 55, but some of my bets are plus 127. Okay, it's 55 is sometimes better than 60. So don't get caught up in that number. Get caught up with how much money when you left your house that you have in your wallet, and when you come home with the book because you played our place, how much money you got. That's really what you do. That's how it works, man.
Maximizing the ROI is what you want to do at the end of the day. And that's what I try to do. I don't give out player props that are fluff pieces. To your point, I don't aim for -160s, -170s. I'm giving you either even money, -115, -110. That's what I'm looking for, or in the plus money, to your point. So hopefully we can keep that going tonight. All right, so let's kick this thing off, shall we? Because we got the Giants, we got the Lions, and while a lopsided game it looks like on paper, there's still always ways to win bets even in these matchups. Now, I should note here, Jackson Dart ruled out again this week. It will be Jameis Winston once more. I will throw in here, Darius Slayton is going to play after he missed a game with a hamstring injury, and he's the guy that I think could benefit the most from Jameis Winston. Just a little FYI fantasy football players out there, maybe Darius Slayton, a guy to take a shot on. Don't have a player prop on him this week. But when I'm looking at this game right now, the Lions are favored at 10.5 points. The over-under is at 50.5. So we're expecting some points to be scored in this game. Giants are 6-5 against the spread so far this season. The Lions are 6-4 heading into this ball game. It is in Detroit. It's a hell of a spread. I'm actually kind of staying away from it. I think with Jameis Winston, the Giants can maybe keep this a little bit competitive, but the defense has been just so bad. So this is a game line wise, overall wise, I'm not really looking at, but I'm curious to see what you have in this matchup.
Here's what I've got. And again, remember, I go through the first quarter, the first half, the second half, the game, and then I do it again for whatever you are on the road, the matchup, whatever you are on the road or home. So the Giants have scored 7+ and 7 of 8 in the first quarter. They're 7-1 against the spread in their last 8 games in the first quarter. However, when you look at their road record, listen to this number. Where I had it. Where are they? The Giants, right? Giants. Oh, they're on the next page. Here we
go. The big blue team. Yeah.
Yeah. I just had it in front. Oh, yeah. So they covered by a half versus the Bears, right? And they were on the road. But before that, they're 1-9 against the spread on the road. 1-9. And 1-9 is a number that I like. And what do we've said about Detroit all season? They're just not scoring points. However, I mentioned to one of my buddies that that they're making a big deal out of him taking back the play calling, right? And so, if you remember, that was what got them to how special they were, because you never knew what the hell they were going to do and when they were going to do it, right? That was how he called the plays.
Detroit. Dan Campbell didn't call the plays. That was all Ben Johnson. This is
no. He took him back. I thought he did it one year. He did it that 1 year, I thought.
Maybe the very first year he was the head coach, but that was before the Lions were any good. When the Lions got good, that was Ben Johnson, who's now the head coach of the Chicago Bears. He was the one calling plays. This is the first time we've really seen Dan Campbell calling offensive plays on a regular basis.
But we have seen their numbers, and they're just not scoring any points. They're not. Not
the level we expect.
But the Giants allow 24 plus at home. Overall, 5 of 5 and 24 plus on the road. So what I'm doing is I said 30. So you mentioned the over under. So the team total is like 30, right? And 30 is just maybe a little too many. But what I like is the fact that this is a game to watch. So that's what I'm leaning. I'm leaning Detroit, given the points. I'm leaning Detroit in the second half. And what I'm going to do, I'm just hoping they do that. Because if the Giants score first, like they have in 7 of 8 games, bada boom, bada bing, I'm all in.
All right.
On Detroit, of course. Yeah.
Right. Yes. I love that approach to it right there. Okay. So I have a couple player props for you in this matchup, though. So we have Jahmyr Gibbs rushing and receiving yards combined. The over under is set at 109.5. I have him projected for a whopping 114.5 points coming in, or half yards, excuse me, not points, coming into this game right now. His last 6 matchups here. We're talking about 118, 96, 104, 143, 91, 127, going up against a Giants defense that is getting scorched by running backs in both the rushing and receiving game so far this season. They are allowing 5.7 yards per carry to the running backs. Jahmyr Gibbs in line for a big game in this one. I think he could crush this line just with his rushing, let alone what he can give you receiving the football. So I have him over 109.5 rushing and receiving yards total. The other player prop I have in this game is Jameson Williams. I have him over 59.5 receiving yards. I have him projected for about 70.3. Now, Chaz, you brought up Dan Campbell taking back the playbook. Jameson Williams has been a direct beneficiary of that move. And now Sam Laporta, who we found out is going to be out for the rest of the season with a back issue, the targets get consolidated around Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams. And Dan Campbell, one of the big reasons he took over the playbook was because he felt like Jameson Williams was not getting the ball enough. And what we've seen over the past few weeks is JMO go for 119 and go for 88 yards. And he's averaged 91 yards per game since Dan Campbell's taken over play calling. And we're only talking about a line that's sitting at 59.5. So give me the over on Jameson Williams there.
I saw somewhere on social media just today, the Arkansas game where he had 3 touchdowns. Every single one of them was longer than that, I think.
Yeah. I mean, we know the guy can put up big plays constantly. 2 catches and the guy could be over that line. And I love lines like that. All right. So we got the Seahawks and the Titans, another projected lopsided affair. The Seahawks are favored at 13.5 points with an over-under of 39.5. So a low over-under because we're not expecting the Tennessee Titans to score all that many points. The Seahawks are 8-2 against the spread. 8-2 against the spread. The best against the spread record in the league so far this season. Titans are 4-6. I know it's 13.5. I know it's a crazy line when we're talking about NFL games. I don't care. Give me Seattle to cover in this one. Their defense is too good. I don't think Tennessee can score at all, and the Seahawks could have an opportunity to put up points just by running the football. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. But, Chaz, what do you got in this game?
So, yes, for the game, right, overall, no one scored 23 on them. 22 or less in 9 of 10. They're 8-1 against the spread. But on the road, they're on a 5-0 against the spread streak. In the second half, they've allowed 10 or less in 9 of 11. Now, listen to Tennessee. This is overall. Score 10 or less, second half, score 20 or less game. This is at home. Score 10 or less, second half, score 20 or less game. you're not gonna beat Seattle's good. You're not gonna beat them if you can't score. Tennessee is terrible. But when it comes to betting this game, I thought the over was so low at 40, and that 13 was too many points. So I'm leaning towards a Seattle team total, maybe. But I'm not betting that game to start. Here's the thing, Dan. As you know, when the early games are on and there's 6 or 7 of them, it's hard to play live action on the games you weren't invested in already because you ain't watching them.
Sure.
And you know what? I remember vividly one year hopping on somebody because they went down early, and then I turned it on, and like 7 inches of rain had fallen. It was a mud slop, and the final score was like 7-3 or something. So you got to be wise. Don't just bet. When you look at your phone, don't assume anything unless it's the opening kickoff, right? The opening kickoff, the guy takes it back, or your team goes 3 and out and punch, your favorite, right? You go 3 and out and punt, and the guy returns the punt for a touchdown. When something happens, like the other night, the Thursday night game, do you remember when the Buffalo guy broke it for a big one? Cook, was it Cook? Yeah. That was it. I went at halftime. That was their whole offense. Do you know they made the over for their team total in the second half? This is Buffalo. 13.5. It was like free money. I watched that game. If it wasn't for that big play, they'd have no touchdowns.
Yeah.
That defense was just smothered. And I talked to my buddy today, Johnny D in Vegas, and we were talking about that, 1, 2, 3 throw. 1, 2, 3 throw, right? That's the best way to be successful in the NFL. Well, it isn't 1, 2, get hit. And that's what happened. 8 sacks. I say to my wife, Vicky, I say, honey, I feel bad if his actress wife is up there. That was when he got hurt. Remember he fell down and he looked like he was really hurt?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. And that was like 5 sacks earlier. They had 8 sacks. It was insane. The poor guy was getting hammered.
Oh, yeah. Josh Allen was running for his life like crazy in that match. It was absolutely insane. So let me get to the player props of the Tennessee Titans and Seattle Seahawks game. I am looking at Kenneth Walker. I know, guys, he popped up with a little glute thing at the end of Friday's practice. All reports are he's going to be good to go. They just had to report it. That's all. His rushing yard total is over/under of 60.5. I have him projected for 69 yards heading into this game. I mean, Mike McDaniel came out after last week against the Rams, where Kenneth Walker played really well against a tough Rams defense. And while they lost that game because of the way he played, they said, you know what? It might be time for us to start getting Kenneth Walker a little bit more of a workload. And that part of the reason why Zach Charbonnet had been involved as much as he had to this point was that they were trying to save Kenneth Walker, somebody who's dealt with lower leg injuries throughout his career. But now we're into the nitty-gritty of the season. We're in the week 12. We're in the second latter half where teams are going to have to volley for what their playoff position is even going to be. And if the Seahawks want any chance of winning that division, they're going to have to go on the run because the Rams are not going away anytime soon. And part of that sounds like it could be Kenneth Walker, who just offers more explosion in the run game, something we all knew this entire time before. But now it sounds like the Seahawks are ready to actually give him a few more touches. And it's the Tennessee Titans who, look, I know last week they kind of held their own to a surprising level, but this is not a defense that has typically been able to hold running backs in check. We're talking about a team that's allowing about 23 carries a game, 109 rushing yards a game to the position, about 4.7 yards per carry. You add Kenneth Walker into a positive game script on top of this with a coach backing him for more touches. Yeah, I'm all about the over here at 60.5. All right, let's talk a little Patriots and Bengals, shall we? We might see Joe Burrow. So I talked about this in yesterday's show. If you didn't see that or watch it or listen to it, whatever, go check it out. Operation Domination, favorite podcast app, and at FF Advice on YouTube. When I had Dr. Brian Scott on the show, and Joe Burrow has been practicing in full all week, and Joe Flacco has not. Now, when the Bengals had opened up Joe Burrow's 21-day window, they wanted it to be week 13 that Burrow came back. But now he might be more healthy than Joe Flacco is. It has not been determined yet who the starting quarterback of the Bengals is going to be, but something to watch. On the other side of that, Jamar Chase is definitely suspended for this game. So he's out. So even if Joe Burrow does play or not, he will not have his top option. T. Higgins will be that top option in this matchup. And it is in Cincinnati, but the Patriots are still favored as road favorites here, -5.5, an over under of 51.5. So people are still expecting these two teams to score. Patriots are 7-3-1 against the spread, while the Bengals are 3-7 against the spread. And I can totally understand why. I love the Patriots at 5.5. You're going to give me this team with less than a touchdown that they have to cover. I'm all about it, especially with Jamar Chase out for the Cincinnati Bengals. The Patriots have a solid defense with Mike Vrabel there as the coach. They have what could be the MVP at quarterback this season in Drake May, and they have figured out their run game is more explosive with Travion Henderson against the worst rush defense in the history of the NFL in the Cincinnati Bengals. I think they cover this one at 5.5. I think they do it easily. Chase, what do you see in this game? Or Chaz, I'm sorry.
No. Chase is a relative term because as a purveyor of LSU 4-time national championship souvenir football signed by Jamar Chase, I want the public to understand he's still a young man. He makes mistakes. And, it wasn't a real good look for him denying it when on film, if we got you on the camera, my man, you just got to eat up and accept it. But I don't want people to stop buying his memorabilia either. So I just want you to give the kid a break. But here's what we got. New England has scored 24 plus and 8 of 8 overall. In the last 9 games, Cincinnati has allowed 27 plus. Straight 27 plus in 9 straight games. Now, Dan, football. That doesn't, whether he pro plays or not, has nothing to do with that side of the field, right? Am I missing something?
No.
So in their last 12 games at home, it's gone over an 11. They've scored 24 plus in 9 of 9, but they've allowed 24 plus in 6 of 6. I've got New England and over here. But here's a couple good stats. New England is first in defense, in rushing defense. And Cincinnati's second to last in rushing defense. So that means you have no choice but to throw. That'll get you some points. But Cincinnati has allowed 257 passing yards per game so far this year. That's second worst in the league. Yeah, okay. If we were I don't think we did a show to begin the year, but I'm telling you right now, if you asked me who was going to win the East, I wasn't going to tell you New England.
No, I wasn't. There were people that were saying New England was going to the playoffs. I looked at this team. I still look at this team, to be honest with you, on paper and say, I don't, outside of Drake May, I do not see the over-the-top talent on either side of the football. They're just playing over their skis right now, and sometimes that wave just rides out for an entire season, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. And that's what I think that's kind of what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, it'll tend to peter out. But it'll peter out when you're in the Final Four. It ain't going to peter out playing in the AFC East.
Especially on Cincinnati. I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about a little player prop action because I do have one for you here. Speaking of T. Higgins, who's going to be the number 1 wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals. And frankly, I don't care if it's Joe Burrow. I don't care if it's Joe Flacco. T. Higgins without Jamar Chase is a target hog. So right now, his over-under set at 71.5. I have him projected for about 80 receiving yards in this matchup. And he's already started to play better over the past couple of weeks and be more involved, even with Chase on the field. I mean, he's already averaging 7.4 targets per game over the past few weeks. So that's a good indicator for him to get over the 70 plus yards just based on that usage. When you tack on, will probably be an extra 2 to 3 targets minimum without Jamar Chase really around. And against the New England Patriots, while they've been excellent against the run, you can throw on this team. They're averaging about 10 receptions, 130 yards, and 1.2 wide receiver touchdowns per game in their competition. That lines up really well for T. Higgins, which is when it's him. I mean, Andre Yosevas is just a dude, and he's just going to get a lot of the work here in a game script in which Cincinnati will most likely be trailing in as well on top of it. So give me T. Higgins over 71.5 receiving yards.
Yeah, listening to you and knowing that they're not going to be able to run the ball. It's just not going to be able to run the ball. It's not going to happen. I would imagine you could parlay his reception, his targets too, right? Receptions. I mean, that could be a nice 3-teamer.
Receptions. Yeah, yards and receptions. They don't really let you do targets, but yards and reception now. Yards and receptions we could do. Receptions do get a little bit tricky. So like with T. Higgins right now, he's at like 5.5 is his over under receptions. That's about right. Because it's kind of, even when you're a top-notch wide receiver, it's hard to project you definitively getting over that 6 mark.
Yeah, but if you play defensive back, that when you're up by 17, 19, 22, whatever they're going to be up by, you tend to go backwards. You catch it in front of me all day long, and they can go down the field, and you can get 5 reception from the same guy, and the average is 20. They get 28 yards out of those 5 catches. So the bottom line is, I like that. Listen to you, I like that play too.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not saying it's impossible, but Chaz, since you brought it up, this is where I do like the yardage props a little bit more, because I don't need 6 catches to get 71 yards. I only need like 4 or 5.
You need one DB to fall down. That's all you need.
Yeah, that's too. But typically speaking, I need like 4 to 5 catches to ensure that I'm going to get that 71 type yard mark. And that's why I like betting the yards a little bit more. I'm not so dependent on him definitively getting a ton of volume or receptions that way, because he could get, we saw AJ Brown this past week. He had 12 targets and then got 4 catches against the Lions. All I need, the yardage, I just need you to hit a certain amount of yards. And with where he gets targeted with the football, maybe he only gets 3 or 4. That still could be enough.
It's funny because that AJ Brown thing was, I'm whining, right? So throw me the ball, but that's not how you are successful. I throw you the ball when the other team isn't expecting me to throw you the ball. That's how you're successful, Well,
no, it's more so when your offensive coordinator can actually call plays to set you up for certain receptions. And right now, the Eagles' offensive play caller, Kevin Petulio, or whatever you want to call him, he sucks. And that's the real problem that's going on in Philadelphia right now. That offense has been, just don't even get me started on a rant. That offense has been absolutely bleak for the amount of talent that they have. Anyway, Jets and Ravens we have coming up. Another lopsided line here. So the Ravens favored at 13.5 in Baltimore. Total is at 44.5. The Jets have actually been 5-4 and 1 against the spread, while the Ravens have been 4-6. Now, Ravens, the context, I mean, a lot of that came when Lamar Jackson wasn't playing. So you can kind of throw out quite a bit of that. The Jets are playing Tyrod Taylor. They benched Justin Fields. Little home revenge. No, I'm just kidding. I'm taking the Ravens to cover even on a big line. I don't care. The Jets are pathetic. What do you got in this game, Chaz?
Here's a weird one, right? In the second half, in their last 6 games, the Jets are 5-0-1 against the spread, and they were getting points in every single one of them. Now, who would have thunk that, right?
Right.
But to me, what does that say? They keep playing. They keep playing. Part of it is they're down by so much that they have to keep playing because the other team doesn't. And you see it. You see the difference in play calling. We talk about it all the time with game flow, where you get screwed because you need one more reception, right? And they got a 17-point lead, and there ain't a shot in hell that ball's going in the air. It just ain't happening, But yeah, I thought that was a big one. On my sheet though for my wager, so I went through it before I got on the show. You guys, I'm betting 9 of the 13 games that are left. So that's a 2/3 basically, a little more than 2/3, or somewhere around 2/3. So this is the game with New York Jets and Baltimore, which will be on in my house. I have the over. Here's why I have the over. Both teams allow more yards than they gain. That to me is an over. That's how I bet over. I look for that. I have your passing yards, your rushing yards, and your total yards. And when you give up in those same categories, and if you give up more than you get, I don't like you. But when both teams do it, I like you both.
Was that 2 wrongs doesn't make it right? In this case, 2 wrongs doesn't make it right?
Well, the bottom line is Vicky makes fun of when I bet over. So I went to a Holiday Bowl one year, and I had both shirts on. And every time the ball changed hands, I changed shirts. I took the one off, I put the other one on. I put the one off, I put the other one on. So I literally had 3 shirts. I had a white shirt underneath, and I don't know if it was Oklahoma State, who it was, or whoever they were playing. And I would just go back and forth. And some guy was drunk and was giving me crap. And I explained to him I had the over. And it took him a while, and he became my friend. He went from wanting to hit me to becoming my friend. But, yeah, because it really is. It's, like at soccer when they don't keep score. When you got the over, you're rooting for everybody.
Right. Yeah, exactly. All right. So I do have a player prop for you in this one. You want to talk about not being able to throw the ball. Hey, let's talk about running the football with Derrick Henry in particular. So his over-under is at 85.5 rushing yards this week. I have him projected for 92.3 rushing yards. So it got off to a slow start for Derrick Henry earlier this season. I get that. But he's been on a bit of a roll over the last 3 games. We're talking about 19 carries, 119 yards, 20 carries of 75 yards, 18 carries of 103 yards over those 3 games. So well over that 85.5, 2 of the last 3. It is the second half of the season. It is Derrick Henry time. It is Derrick Henry season. And you're talking about a Jets defense that is getting scorched by running back so far this season, giving up over 100 yards per week to the position. And when you have a 13.5 line, the expectation is the Ravens will very much be in a positive game script, which very much bodes well for Derrick Henry to get the ball really consistently throughout this game. So give me Derrick Henry over 85.5 rushing yards.
So when your article comes out tomorrow, is it going to have that 4.9 average in there?
Yes.
Okay, so because I watch, whether I want to or not, I watch every Ravens game, right? And it's like 2nd and 2, and they don't hand off. They throw the ball. And then it's 3rd and 2, and they don't hand off. The guy gets you 5 yards. Just keep handing him the freaking ball. It's amazing. And part of that, why they're chasing their tail, is because he didn't have one game where he didn't even get hardly any carries, I remember, early in the season.
That happens every single year with him. Every single year with him and Todd Monken, it happens all the time. But the second half of the season is when that seems to go away.
It's like, but maybe somebody just comes in and bitch slaps him upside the head. Hand the ball to Henry and tell Lamar to get out of the way. Because when you do that, and you do that, and you do that, and then you don't do that, that's when he runs 60 yards. Keep giving the ball to Henry, and then one time you make believe you give it to him. You don't really give it to him. You make believe. They call it a fake. And then he scoots around the end, right? And how many times has he gone 50, Lamar, in his career, right?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Now, this actually bodes even better for Derrick Henry because Lamar Jackson's been a little bit banged up. So he's been dealing with the knee. This week, it's an ankle issue they listed him with. That's why he missed practice on Wednesday.
Oh, they don't want him running.
No,
because they saw what happens when he gets hurt, and they're done. Because they were 3-5, and they had a 63% chance of winning their division. It was amazing because of the way they play each other. Well, the bottom line is they saw how bad they are without him. That's why he's an MVP more than once.
100%, but it's also why I don't think they're going to push the envelope with him this week either.
Oh, you can't. You'd be crazy. Anytime you put your quarterback in harm's way, you're stupid.
I agree 100%. All right, so let's talk about the Colts-Chiefs game. This game is in Arrowhead. It opened at 3.5. Actually, the last time I checked, this game had moved to 4.5 with a really high over-under of 50.5. And that kind of surprised me a little bit. I do have the under in this game. I don't think there's going to be as many points scored as people think. And I have the Colts. If this game moved to 4.5, which it has, as I'm looking at it right now, I got the Colts covering. I think this is just going to be a field goal game. Either way, the Colts might win this game outright. Like, I wouldn't rule that out. The Chiefs are not looking like a good team right now, not like the team that we expect to see. And the Colts are tailor-made to kind of win a type of game like this, a grind them out type of football game. Either way, give me the Colts plus the points, and I'll even take this to be my underdog special. So the Colts are 6-3-1 against the spread. The Chiefs are 5-5 right now. Chaz, what are you seeing in this matchup?
So listen to this. On the road in the first quarter, in their last 12 games, the Colts are 11-1 against the spread. So guess what I'm betting? In the first quarter, I bet Indy's team total over. I bet Indy. Indy is number 1 in yards per game with 396. And they scored right? And they scored in the first quarter on the road 11 to 12 times. So yeah, I've said this before. I don't have a problem with cash in the first half and then going like that with the remote. I don't.
Yeah. I also don't. I also like that your bet's kind of in line with my whole I think the Colts cover in this game.
Well, listen to this, right? They're 4-0 on a 4-0 run against the spread in the first quarter. They scored 13 plus in 5 of 6. They scored 13 plus in the second half of 6 of 6. So if you score 13 plus in the first half and 5 of 6, and 13 plus in the second half, 6 of 6, guess how much you scored in the game? Yes, 31 plus in 5 of 6. I just think they're a better team. Now, don't get me wrong. Having Mahomes on that sideline changes things, but the weapons aren't there too.
Yeah, they're just not firing all cylinders right now. But one of their weapons, I do have an over on, and that's Mr. Travis Kelce. 51.5 over under is his receiving yards prop for this game. I do have him projected for 63. So things have picked up for Travis Kelce over the past few weeks. He's had 58, 77, and 51. He's been back to getting 7 to 10 targets per game over the last few weeks. And you're going against the Colts. As good as their defense has been, well, they're a little susceptible to the tight end position, allowing 6.3 targets per game, 4.3 catches, and 72.6 yards to the tight end position. With the way Travis Kelce has been playing, how I expect this game script to go, I do like Travis Kelce to go over a modest line of 51.5 receiving yards heading into this matchup. So cash that one. Vikings.
I mean, the bottom line is we've watched them for how many years now, right? Right? For how many years we watch them? When things go bad, he looks for them.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
And there was some question about that because when Rashee Rice came back, he was starting to get a lot of those types of targets, running those types of routes. Still is, quite frankly, but now it looks like both of them are able to eat. The odd man out, unfortunately, for some fantasy owners, is Xavier Worthy. He's just been the odd man out. It's Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice, and everything just attacking the hell out of the middle of the field. Talk about the North, though. We got the Vikings and the Green Bay Packers. Packers favor. I gotta double check this. I'm not sure if this is correct. I gotta look at this again. Right now, I'm showing Packers favorite at 6.5. I don't think
that's what I have.
Really? Okay, well, in that case, I'm taking the Vikings to cover.
Well, that's funny you say. It's funny you say that because I've got Minnesota has scored 10 or less in the first half in 9 of 11. However, Green Bay is 1-7 against the spread in the first half, but Green Bay at home has allowed 18 or less in 8 of 9. The under has gone 2-9-1 in their last 12 games, whereas Minnesota on the road has gone over 7 of 8. I have Green Bay money line, so we could both win.
We can both win with that. I like that a lot.
And you've heard me say the money line to me. And I always give the dude that I used to do soccer with credit because he would be betting, minus 250, minus 300, minus 340. But he's winning 9 out of 10, and you make money at 9 out of 10 at minus 340. You don't make money at 60% at minus 340. But when you get down and you take a touchdown away, and now it's an even game. What happens is I had a heart attack, so I try to keep my stress level down. The last thing I want to do, Dan, is not only have in my hand my tickets, but my nitroglycerin pills. That's not a good combination. So I'm not afraid to do money lines, even though I don't really usually bet them big. I usually do the parlays, and I'm looking, if I can get 2-1 on my money on 3 or 4 money line teams, and they all win, I'll have them, on the side with the points. But when I put it on the sheet that it's money line, that means it's going to be in some parlays.
Love it there. Yeah. So the Vikings, I know JJ McCarthy's been awful, and I'll be the first one to jump.
Yeah, until the one time I needed him to be, he looked like Joe Montana that one night when he first came back.
Oh, I know. But at 6.5 points, the Green Bay Packers lost to the Carolina Panthers in Green Bay. They have been on a downward spiral. They are 3-7 against the spread this season. this should not be this big of a line in a divisional matchup game with a team that's really just not playing well. And that in the Green Bay Packers right now. So, yeah, I'm taking the Vikings to cover this. Give me the 6.5 points. I also have a player prop for you, and that's Christian Watson, his receiving yards at 50.5. So Watson, as he's come back each week, played a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And now reestablishing himself as to what we knew he was before the injury and saying, hey, I'm this guy still again. And that is the number one playmaker at the wide receiver position. Not saying necessarily the number one target. That still might be Romeo Doubs on a week in, week out basis. But the number one playmaker that the Green Bay Packers have. I have him projected for 58.5. So I have a 8-point edge there with the line at 50.5 heading into this matchup. Last couple of games, he's been over 60 yards easily in those games. And Minnesota does allow the big play, which plays well for a guy like Christian Watson. So they're allowing 14.5 yards per catch at the wide receiver position. You give Christian Watson about 5 to 6 targets, which is generally what he's been getting anyway. And I give you a guy who could easily get over a 50.5 wide receiver receiving yard mark. So I like that one quite a bit in that matchup. Steelers, Bears, Pittsburgh here. The Bears, they're favored at -2.5 here with a 45.5 over under. Steelers are 5-5 against the spread, and the Bears are 6-4 against the spread. Look, I'm not big on teams that consistently win one-score games in the last couple of drives in the fourth quarter because that's just no way to live on a consistent basis. But the Bears are doing it right now. And we still don't know for sure if it's going to be Aaron Rodgers or if it's going to be Mason Rudolph at the quarterback position for the Steelers. Here's what I do know for sure. It doesn't matter. It's not like Aaron Rodgers put up a ton of points anyway, and with Mason Rudolph there. So give me the Bears at home, the cover at 2.5, and what I think is going to be an ugly game, and therefore I have the under at 45.5. Chaz, what are you seeing in this one?
Yeah, on the road in the first half, Pittsburgh has allowed 12 or more in 6 of 7. They're 1-5 against the spread in their last 6. At home, Chicago is consistent. If you look, it's like 24, 23, 24, 24, 24. I mean, they don't even have a big range. And they scored 24 plus in 4 of 4. And I am betting them. I have them on the money line, mostly because I don't know who's quarterbacking. I don't think I'm betting the money line, honestly, if Aaron Rodgers isn't playing. But Chicago's team total, I like it. I'm going to bet it again.
Okay. Let's take that one. I don't have a player prop for you guys in this matchup, so we can move
on.
One
more, a couple more here. So these teams combined to allow almost 500 passing yards a game, right? You would think you're going to get some points if you can get 500 passing yards a game. But as you know, they're not really high scoring. They're middle scoring because it's all between the 20s. But Chicago has 146 yards per game on the ground. That's number 2. And I'm thinking if they can get the lead, they don't care if they got a lead by 1 or by 2 or by 3. Again, when I bet money line, I'm betting it because it changes, as you know, how you watch a game dramatically. Not even a little bit, dramatically.
It does, 100%. Let's talk a little Jaguars, Arizona Cardinals. So the Jaguars, coming off a dominant performance against the Chargers at home, are now on the road. They're now going from east to west against the Arizona Cardinals. The Jaguars favored at 3 points in this game and a total of 47.5. The Jaguars have been 5-5 against the spread. The Cardinals have been 5-5 against the spread in their own right. I take last week's game that the Jaguars put up against the Chargers, and I throw it the hell out the window. The Jaguars are not that dominant of a ball club. That was one of those weird things that we see happen in the NFL every once in a while, where one team just have their day, and this is what happens. Now, the Arizona Cardinals are not a good team, and they are completely and utterly banged up. And being this line so tight, if you want to take the Jaguars, they are the better team on paper, and I'm okay with it. But I'm more interested in the over-under at 47.5. Give me the over in this game. Arizona should put up at least 20 points. I see no reason why Jacksonville shouldn't put up at least 27 to 28 points in this game. And that's a baseline that I'm giving you, frankly, in this matchup, because Jacksonville should be able to run, which is what their offense is predicated off of. And Arizona should be able to pass, which is what their offense is predicated off of. So they kind of both play well into each other. That's what I'm seeing. Chaz, what are you seeing?
So for the trends for both these teams, all you see is they score a lot and they allow a lot. Over on the road, Jacksonville 7 of 8. Over at home, Arizona 7 of 8. I'm on the over. Winner, chicken dinner.
All right, how about that? We're both on that one. I do have player props in this game. So I have Jacoby Brissett, the quarterback of the Arizona Cardinals. His over-under line is set at 246.5, and I have him projected for about 253.5. Not a crazy over that I am projected for, but this is a guy who just broke the record for the NFL in completions a week ago against the San Francisco 49ers with 47 completions, and it was on 57 attempts. It's insane he had 57 attempts, but at the same time, 47 of 57, that's a pretty high completion percentage for a guy who's throwing the ball that much. And the Jacksonville Jaguars, besides the Chargers game last week, had been a pass funnel defense who had been allowing 247.3 yards per game on average. And we hit the Cardinals, who are pass first all the time, and we're talking about 246.5 line. I'm all over Jacoby Brissett being over on this one, and I'm not done. I'm going to pair him up with who's going to be his number one wide receiver this week, because Marvin Harrison Jr. is out yet again. So Michael Wilson comes in, and because he's Michael Wilson, and because last week was just 1 week when we saw him get the 18 targets and 15 catches for 185 yards, we haven't seen consistently. So as a result, the books are still a little bit behind here in my estimation. His over-under is only 57.5 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I have him projected for over 64 yards heading into this game. This is a pure, you're the number one target, your volume, your pass-first offense, and the Jaguars have been a team, again, not only giving up passing yards, obviously the quarterback, but what goes hand in hand is passing yards to the wide receivers. They're allowing at least 12 catches and 141 yards to the position, 11.8 yards per catch. That plays well for a parlay here of Jacoby Brissett over 246.5 passing yards and Michael Wilson over 57.5 receiving yards there. Cash it, baby. All right. We go from that game, which could be fireworks and exciting, to one of the lowest over-unders of the week, and that is the Browns and the Raiders. I gotta double check this game too. Hold on, because this doesn't seem. Oh, it is right. Guess what, Chaz? The Raiders, and this is in Vegas, but the Raiders are favored at 3.5 points. The over-under set at 36.5. Yeah, no. Give me the Browns to win this game outright. I know it's Shedeur Sanders, and everyone's on both sides of the aisle right now. Where the people, did you see that game? Did you see Cleveland cheering? They went crazy when Shedeur came into that game. And then Shedeur came out and played exactly how all of his critics thought he would play as an NFL quarterback, which was bad arm, bad reads, holding onto the ball too long, everything that could go bad. Keep in mind.
No, really, honestly, I have never seen someone on an NFL field that didn't look like he belonged there. And I don't know if I'm not saying that his talent doesn't belong there, but obviously it was like, hey, kid, you want to play quarterback? Hand them the ball.
It was brutal, but here's the context behind that. Not once. I'm talking training camp, off season, throughout the entire season. Not once has Shedeur Sanders had any reps with the first team offense in Cleveland. Not one time.
That's a fact.
So now you have a week where he got prepped to be the starting quarterback for the week. And I'm not saying it's going to fix all woes, but when you have an elite defense like the Browns, and you're talking about the Raiders, who Chip Kelly, how in the hell does this man still have a job?
They don't score 20 points. They haven't scored. They scored 20 points once. I was watching that game, and I said, Chad, trust me, this is the New England game. They ain't scored 20 points. And they didn't score 20 points. They were just terrible. And you know what? Chip Kelly was so exciting in Oregon, but you know what? Maybe he's, sometimes if you sign with the dotted line with the blood in your finger with Satan, what happens is you get a little excited and then say, screw you, I'm Satan, because it's like two different coaching.
It absolutely is. And so I'm expecting the Raiders to actually win this game outright. The 36.5 over under, I'm okay with you taking the under on that one because there's not going to be many points scored here, but I am going to take the Browns outright to win this game. What are you seeing?
Well, listen to this. This is on the road. Cleveland has scored 20 or less in 14 of 15, which would say there's no way they're winning. However, they're playing the Raiders, but they're 1-12 against the spread on their last 13 on the road, and there's not a shot in hell you would get me to bet any money on Vegas, but I will probably would bet Vegas's team total under, but here's what I've got. 36 is the under, right? It's such a low under because all it takes is ineptitude, right? A fumble on the 8-yard line, right? And now you got an 8-yard, your first and goal. So, but, and the thing is, when I bet unders, the best part about unders is when you're right, it's the second half. Because if it's 7-3 at halftime and the first half was 24, well, now it's 48. So now you got all the points you didn't give up in the first half, they're still in your kitty. So you can give up, 21 points or the second half can go over and you can still win the under bet. So this game, what I would look at is I would watch and see what happens, but the Vegas, they can't score 20 points. The problem is, that it's right about there. So, that's the thing. We talk about team totals all the time. If you score 14 or more in 45 straight, which is great, but if your line's 14.5, it don't help me any.
No, it doesn't. I do have a player prop for you guys in this game. Is Ashton Genty rushing and receiving yards. The over-under is...
Oh, my God. We had him, right? You gave me him. Didn't you give me him? And they handed them the ball twice, and they sucked. And the whole time the announcers saying, well, Pete Carroll normally runs the ball, and they threw it to him more than they gave it to him. And they sucked, and they didn't give him. He's the best player on your team, and he had 2 carries at one point. I was losing my mind.
He had 6 carries total in the game. I lost my mind right there with you. It made no sense. And guess what? I'm betting the opposite way on him this week. So at rushing and receiving yards at 78.5, I have him projected for just 71 yards heading into this game. So that's rushing and receiving against the Cleveland Browns, which has been the top-notch defense, especially against running backs this entire season. I am not expecting much in a matchup like this. They are only allowing 3.9 yards per carry. They're only allowing 3.7 receptions per game to the position. That is not enough with the way this offense is operating for Ashton Genty to get over 78.5 all-purpose yards in this game. So give me the under on that one. Eagles, Cowboys, NFC East divisional matchup. Here we go. The Eagles are favored at 3 points heading into Dallas with a 47.5 over under. The Eagles have been 7-3 against the spread. The Cowboys have been 5-5. I really want to take Dallas, Chaz. I don't know what it. I'm not gonna look. I'm not gonna bet this game. I'm not gonna put an official stamp on it. My heart of hearts. This is what I'm telling you guys. My heart of hearts says that Dallas actually pulls off the upset here. I don't like the way the Eagles have been playing and looking. However, they have been winning ball games despite the fact that they've been playing ugly football. And there's no other way around that. And Dallas is a mediocre team. There's plain and simple. They're a mediocre team. But they're at home in this matchup. And that's where it gets a little bit interesting to me. If you're at home, you're in Dallas with an Eagles team that doesn't look right. Chaz, I don't know if you agree with this or not, but I look at the Eagles very, very similar to 2 years ago. When they came off, they had lost the Super Bowl to the Chiefs, and they went 10-0 to start that year. And
they didn't even make the playoffs.
They made the playoffs. They got knocked out in the first round by
they went 0-6, didn't they, to end the season or something?
They completely and utterly imploded because and we had kept, even while they were winning games, we had kept hearing about how there was this dysfunction in the locker room and they didn't look pretty on Sundays. This looks like that team to me. And at some point, I think the levee's going to break. And I just have a feeling. Again, I don't have data to back this up. This is just a gut feeling that Dallas actually wins this game outright. But I'm not going to tell you to bet it because I don't have more than my gut feeling to tell you to bet Dallas. So what do you see in this one, Chaz?
Okay, if I had like one of those, things that they wear, the guys with the ball, the crystal ball, and that, I would say I see Jerry Jones. He looks disturbed. He looks upset. They give up so many points at home. If you ever had a struggling offense, all you need to do is play Dallas. It's that simple. So that's what I see this happen. And here's Dallas in the last home games. This is home. They got they put a window in so God could watch, right? God has watched you give up at least 22 points to every single team that played you in 13 of your last 14 home games, and that goes back to 2022. So, yeah, I got Philly in the over.
Okay.
Yeah. I think Philly's going to score points. I think no, don't get me wrong. I know Philly's struggling, but we also know they got pretty much the same guys that on offense that won a Super Bowl. I just think Dallas is going to make them right.
It's quite possible. They made a lot of teams right. I do like the over quite a bit in there. I do have a player prop for you, though, in this one, too. So I have Javonte Williams rushing yards, 67.5. It's one of the lowest rushing yard totals that he's had so far this season. I have it projected for 81. People are getting a little bit, I don't want to say out of whack completely, but a misperception, let's say, on what the Eagles' run defense truly has been so far this season. So first of all, Javonte in his own right, he's gone 41, 83, 93. That's been the last 3 games as far as his rushing yards on the ground. So he's averaging well over the line that you're giving him here. But also on the Eagles front, they are allowing 114 rushing yards per game to the running back position. This is a defense you can run at and on if you have an offense that's willing to commit to the run, which the Dallas Cowboys have been with Javonte Williams. So give me the over here on Javonte hitting that 67.5 rushing yard mark. All right, we get to a game that's a little bit less exciting, and that's the Falcons and Saints. Look, these NFC South games, they have to happen. But guess what? We can still win money on them. So the Saints are favored in this game at 2.5 with a total over of 40.5. Michael Penix is out. Drake London's out for this game. Michael Penix is out for the season. So we're back to Kirk Cousins, who's looked cooked every time we've seen him since 2024. However, people are really undercutting the Atlanta defense. Devon Diablo is back. That makes a huge difference for this Atlanta defense. Tyler Shuck is one of the worst quarterbacks I've ever seen under pressure. And you can say what you want about Atlanta, what they gave up against the Carolina Panthers a week ago. But what you can't say is that this team is amongst the top in pass rush win rate. It is a bad matchup for the Saints. The Falcons can still hand the ball off to Bijan Robinson. I'm loving me some underdogs this week, Chaz. Give me the Atlanta Falcons to win this game outright in New Orleans. What are you seeing?
This game screams under, right? My notes here say, do not bet this game. Boycott this game. Do not encourage these teams to continue to play badly. They need no help. That's what my notes say. I wrote those notes last night.
Well, I'm going to take Atlanta over. I'm going to take Atlanta to win outright, but I'm also going to take Kirk Cousins under. Not usually a side I go with, but I'm going to take him under his passing yard mark. So it's 207.5. I have him projected for 182 basically in this game. Look, if the Falcons move the ball in this game, it's not going to be because of Kirk Cousins. It's going to be because of Bijan Robinson. Cousins doesn't look like he has the NFL arm to even throw the ball more than 10 yards down the field with any kind of velocity and any kind of meaningfulness whatsoever. And then you take Drake London out of that mix. On top of it, you're dealing with Darnell Mooney, who's been a shadow of himself all season long, and Kyle Pitts, which is fine. The last time we saw Kirk Cousins start, Kyle Pitts had 9 catches on 9 targets for a whopping 62 yards. I don't see Kirk Cousins reaching 200 yards passing, even against the Saints defense in this one, when the weapon will most likely be Bijan Robinson out of the backfield. So give me the under 207.5 for Cousins. Okay.
So I got a question.
Shoot for it.
When the check's got to be direct deposited from the NFL, right? They don't get a check. They get direct deposit, right? So when he goes and he sees the check he gets, does he feel guilty?
I wouldn't if I was him.
But he gets a lot of money.
Well, he's been doing his whole career. Kirk Cousins is notorious for like getting paid more than he was worth his entire career, basically. So
I had him win a play for me. I was in Lake Tahoe, and it was a shit long time ago. I'm pretty sure it was him. Did he play for Michigan State?
Yes, he did.
He threw a Hail Mary up in a bowl game. I was in Lake Tahoe. Snow was falling, like 4 feet of snow, and we were eating and drinking. I think it was New Year's period. It was really just a great part of my life. And he threw a Hail Mary and won the game. I remember that. God bless him.
Good times. Talk about good times. Talk about the little Buccaneers and the Los Angeles Rams. Rams favored in this game at 6.5 points with a total of 49.5. The Bucs have been 5-5 against the spread, but the Rams have been 7-3. I don't really care about the line so much. I think the line's about right in this matchup, but I do like the over at 49.5 in this game. You're talking about two offenses that can get the ball rolling through the air. Chaz, what do you see?
Every single week. I said it earlier kind of as a foreshadowing. I go through, right, your quarter one, half two game for both home and away. Tampa Bay has none, not one trend, not one, all X's, not one. They're so inconsistent that they can't do the same thing 3 weeks in a row. That's all it takes to be a trend. You just got to do it for 3 weeks in a row. You got to score more than like 13 points and a half. You got to have an L or have a W or have an O or have a U. That's all you got to do. And they can't do it. And you know how many times the Rams have cashed for me in the second half? The Rams in Denver. I mean, if you just do nothing this year, but it's what, week 12, right?
Yeah.
Week 12. Yeah. If you did nothing this year, but Rams second half and Denver second half, your friends are jealous of you.
All right, so I love that. The Rams in the second half. Let's talk a little Emeka Egbuka. His receiving yards are 63.5. I have him projected for just about 72 receiving yards in this game. So over his last 3, and he's cooled off a little bit from the earlier stretch of the season, I grant you, but 71, 65, 78. His last 3 games, he's been well over that 63.5 yards mark. He's the only guy there. Chris Godwin's still not going to play. Mike Evans is not coming back this season. It's a game in which the Bucs are expected to have to trail and throw the football, especially in the second half. Emeka Egbuka is a real deal. The cornerbacks of the Rams, yes, while their defense has been good, their secondary has not been. I am all over Emeka Egbuka getting over a 63.5 yard mark. And in fantasy football, I even have him projected in my top 10. So I got him going over that mark as well. But I also have Puka Nacua. And you should be used to hearing his name when I talk about player props. I got Puka Nacua over 89.5 receiving yards. I have him projected for about 95 heading into this matchup. We're talking about over his last few weeks here, 130 yards, 91 yards, 112, 170, 85. The only one of those games has he gone over that mark, and you're playing against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that have been generous to the wide receiver position, allowing 160.3 yards per game to that position per week. I like Puka Nacua over the 89.5 yard mark. Any comments there?
Yeah, one note I got here. Tampa Bay just played New England and Buffalo. Now they got to play the Rams. I mean, don't think that matters,
No,
when You need a break. You when you get like Baltimore, they showed Baltimore's schedule. The teams they were playing were like 10-20 against the spread. But the bottom line is sometimes you got a tough schedule, and New England's Buffalo is Buffalo, right? Whether you beat them or not, whether they're good or not, and they ended up beating them by 20. I think they put a 40 on them. That's tough to come back week after week after week when the teams keep getting better.
Well, Buffalo won that shootout.
Right. And they played New England the week before. Now they got to play the Rams. I mean, that's 3 in a row. It's tough.
It is tough. It's absolutely tough. Let's talk about Monday night, our last game of the show. So the Panthers are going into San Francisco. The 49ers are favored at 7 points, and the total is 49.5. The Panthers have actually been 7-4 against the spread, while the 49ers have been 6-5 against the spread here. I like the over. All right. I'm not a Bryce Young guy, and he doesn't play well back-to-back weeks. And in fact, if he's not playing the Atlanta Falcons, he doesn't seem like a competent NFL quarterback. The 49ers defense sucks. They are really bad right now with how many injuries that they've had to sustain, and they just lost their second string middle linebacker on top of it to open up the middle of the field even that much more. But the 49ers offense, especially with Brock Purdy back and George Kittle back and Ricky Pearsall back, can put up some points. And we've seen them do that the past few weeks as well. So I like the over in the total of this game, but I'm not betting the line either way. 49ers should cover, but I'm not betting the line either way. I like the over. What do you got in this game, Chaz?
Yeah, in their last 7 games overall, San Francisco has gone over the number 5-1-1. And here's what my notes. This is back-to-back Monday Night Footballs where thanks, no thanks. I'll watch it. Maybe I'll join it. Usually, because remember, it's 5:30. It starts out here. So, I'm cooking dinner. I'm in the kitchen. I'm looking. We got mirrors so I can see the game backwards. I don't normally drink on Mondays, but if I'm drinking, watching a game backward in the mirror, it just gives me a headache, man, because it really is confusing. But unless Carolina scores first, like I said, with the Vegas and was it New England? Who they play? Was it Vegas and New England?
Vegas and Cleveland.
No, last week.
Oh, the Cowboys.
Yeah, right. The Cowboys scored. So there was 3-3, 3-0, then 3-3, then 6-3. That's what I'm doing. If Carolina, I'll watch this game, and if Carolina scores, I'm betting San Francisco. You have to be ready with live action for stuff that happens. You see it so often where a team plays good for 18 minutes of a 60-minute game, and the final score is 31-13, but they were up at one point 13-6. So that's where I see this game. I'm not touching it, but if Carolina scores first, I'm in.
All right. I like that action there. So let's talk a little bit of a prop bet that I have for you guys as the last one of the night. It is Brock Purdy, and I have him over 1.5 passing touchdowns for this game. I have him projected for 2. So Brock Purdy, he's only played 3 games this year. I get it. But in those 3 games, 2 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns. Pretty consistent here out of Brock Purdy with this offense, with the weapons that he has available to him, especially with Christian McCaffrey healthy. And the fact that, honestly, the 49ers have kind of struggled to be efficient on the ground. And that has played a factor in the fact that they have been more of a pass-first team than we're used to seeing Kyle Shanahan teams be. The Panthers are allowing more than a touchdown per game to quarterbacks to begin with anyway, but I think Brock Purdy goes for at least 2 in this one, gets you over the 1.5 passing touchdowns for the over-under. That does it for the show.
The beauty about McCaffrey, too, is he's as dangerous as a receiver as he is a running back.
Correct. He had a receiving touchdown this past week, and that's kind of the way you kind of use these guys going into matchups like this. Yep. But that does it for our show. Chaz, as always, I love having you on, man, but I want you to tell people what they need to go check out. What do you have coming up next?
Well, it's Black Friday for us, championshipfootballs.com, Black Friday. So I'll be posting on, what I'm going to start doing. Here's what I'm starting, because I've been normally posting on Facebook and on X, all right? X. On X, I've been just, sharing our stuff. I think I'm going to tag some of our Domination weekend with the Black Friday special. And again, remember, championship football. So I'm sorry. If your team sucks, I can't help you. It's not my problem that your team sucks, okay? we do championship football. So like Ohio State last year, Eagles last year. Before that was Michigan, Kansas City. I mean, that's what's it's not your team had a pretty good season, footballs.com. It's not, guess what? We have a new general manager, footballs.com. It's championshipfootballs.com. The coolest present they'll open that day, and it's guaranteed.
Love it, love it, love it. Make sure you guys download Operation Domination on your favorite.
Hey, you know what I should do? I should have you send me that video clip. I can use that as a commercial.
We can definitely do that, Chaz.
Awesome.
Not a problem.
And you know what? Because you and I will have Thanksgiving before these people will have Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Happy Thanksgiving. Yeah, absolutely. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there. And make sure you're downloading Operation Domination on your favorite podcast app and check out our video content on the Fantasy Football.
Or what you could do is you could drive down the road and put $20 bills out the window. Crack the window just a little. It'll suck it right out. Or you could bet what we tell you.
Find our video content on Fantasy Football Advice Network, Fantasy Football Advice Network on YouTube at FF Advice Net. And Chaz, you always like to say,
Always be cashing.
We'll see you guys again next week.